everyone. Ashley Mailloux here with Mike Beard, taking a look at DRF's race of the day for this Saturday, December 9th. It is the nightcap out at Los Alamitos Racehorse. Race number 9 at 1 mile and a 16th. On the dirt is the grade 2 Starlet, which, Mike, we'll take a look at this field. It's a compact field. This is something we've gotten used to, but I actually thought overall there are a couple horses in here with live shots to win this event.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. I mean, it does kind of feel like, as usual, with these 2-year-old races in California, Bob Baffert, he holds a strong hand again. He's got the rail horse. He's got the outside horse. They'll probably be the two favorites in some fashion in here, actually. And it's Baffert's race. I mean, he's won this race the last 6 times they ran it. He's got a pretty strong hand here, looking for 7 in a row.
Great 48 was a pretty nice maiden winner, and last time out on the 5, Chattelis, we have coming back in here, who disappointed in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, but prior to that had a really nice effort in the Chandelier. So while it may look like Baffert 1-2 on paper, at least a couple of others do have nice recent performances under their belt. So we'll move on now. We'll take a look at the time, form, pace projections here, and I'm not really shocked by this, Mike. Curious to get your thoughts. I mean, obviously, I thought Grazia on debut was a little green, but was really keen out of the gate with that outside post. Will likely leave again. A couple others could leave, such as the number 5, Chattelis. But, a lot have been sitting in their last couples trying to make a late move.
Yeah, I didn't really have much to add to that. I mean, I did think the 6 would probably make the lead here, stretching out for the first time. And I do think Chattelis will go forward again this time. I mean, she had real trouble at the start of the Breeders' Cup last time, and that's the only reason she was as far back as she was. Prior to that, wire to wire over this distance.
We'll start the field off here with the number 1, Nothing Like You. We'll actually take a look at her most recent performance in the Desi Arnaz, which was a field of 5. And when we look at this replay out at Del Mar back on November 18th, she's going to need everything here in the stretch to mow down these 2 pace setters in here. But you kind of look at her run here, Mike. She's able to angle out. She's going to really start rolling late. And it's not until, near the wire, it looks like she's actually going to get the job done.
Yeah, great. I mean, she's just going to get up here, but it's still a pretty strong finish from this filly. And I just liked the run that she made the final 1/8 of a mile in there. And it was on a distance cutback. She'll stretch back out here. 2 back, she was pretty impressive, breaking her maiden the first time Baffert went long with her. She did it on the lead, and that's probably a pretty good sign for her, Ashley. I mean, she won't make the lead this time. It doesn't feel like, but she probably won't be too far away.
I think that's huge. I think she proved last time out she doesn't need the lead to win. And you mentioned the race 2 back when she was able to graduate. She was much the best, who was second in their great 48, who she's going to have to face again. The number 2, Pacific Rose, is next in this field, a daughter of Not This Time, who just is still a maiden. 0 for 4, is yet to hit the board in those 4 outings. She was 4th in the Chandelier, beaten by 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, she was. I guess that was an okay performance behind Chattelis, but she never really made a race of it that day. I don't really know what to say here. They're going to take another shot with her. They dropped her back into the maiden ranks last time. I don't know if you have a different view on that race. Actually, she was the favorite that day. She was terrible in that race. She didn't do any running at all.
Yeah, I have nothing really positive to say about that race. To me, if she would have showed more there, maybe hit the board or at least not been beat by such a large margin, maybe you can make a case for her, but really hard against this group. The 3, Flynn's Chance, is next. This one out of the Richard Mandela bar. Now, this one didn't show too much on debut, but Mike, they put her on the shelf just for a couple of months and she came back. I thought it was an improved performance. Maybe the stretch out in distance was part of that, improvement.
Yeah, as opposed to the horse we just talked about, who's also a maiden. This one, I think, is a little bit more interesting, if only because she's so lightly raced. And she did take a step forward last time when they stretched her out off the layoff. I mean, she was no match for Great 48 that day. They sort of made the same move into a fast pace, and then this filly just couldn't kick on at the end. But all in all, it was an improved performance for sure.
Moving on to Great 48 from post position 4, a daughter of Constitution, who, Mike, at least when you look at some of these horses with, some lackluster performances, she's kind of the opposite of that. She's gotten better with each and every single start and graduated pretty nicely last time out.
Yeah, I like that about her too. Does feel like she's at least headed the right way, and she did get the job done last time. As we mentioned, she just outkicked Flynn's Chance that day. They got the same trip into a really fast pace. I think that's worth pointing out. They took over sort of at the same time, and she was just best at the end. 2 back, she was really no match for Nothing Like You, but she tried really hard in that race too.
And I guess the one knock, if you look at her maiden performance last time out, who she beat, it's several of her rivals that she's going to face again with, at least on paper, they look like they have, the lesser of the chances in this group. The number 5, Chattelis, is one of the Mark Glatt barn. We're not going to show her most recent effort, but we are going to go to that race 2 back when she was able to secure a grade 2 victory in the Chandelier. And looking at the depth of the chandelier this year, it was a pretty strong, or at least big field overall. I think this is sort of her defining performance so far in her career.
Yeah, I agree. And she runs fine in this race. I liked the trip that she pulled in here. I'm not sure, how good this field was overall, but she, gets the job done at the end. It's a pretty good performance. And again, just going back to the Breeders' Cup last time, I mean, she didn't run that well in there, but she did have real trouble at the start. It sort of put her in a bad spot, and she just came up empty in the stretch.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily. I'll take it back. I wouldn't say it was a great field. Depth in terms of numbers, which is maybe something we don't see in California. I think there's some okay horses that maybe they'll continue to develop maybe into next year as 3-year-olds. But going back to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies, I just think she was overmatched in terms of trip. Nothing like the trip that she would want. I think she wants to be more forward. Now, rounding out the field, we have another replay to show. This one for the 6 Grazia. This is the other Bob Baffert in the field, or maybe the Bob Baffert, the one to beat here. Mike, I'm just curious to get your thoughts here on her debut. It did seem like maybe she showed just a tad bit of greenness.
She was a little bit green in this race. You can see her on her wrong lead here down to the finish. The flip side of that, I guess, is that she actually won really easily in here. She pulled the perfect trip. I just don't really know what to say about the race. Those are the hardest races for me to evaluate anyway. She was probably supposed to win at 2 to 5 in a short field. It was a bunch of first-time starters in there, so who knows, how good the horses that she was beating are. But she got the job done, and Baffert will step her right up and stretch her right out. I love that she's by Uncle Mo, but it's all sprint on the bottom of this pedigree.
Yeah, you mentioned a daughter of Malibu Moon on the bottom side. And the one thing I will say, I guess, you mentioned the greenness. She's kind of drifting a little bit in the stretch, unsure of what to do. The one question that you have going forward then is if she has matured at all, what can we see next from her? So I do think she's going to take a lot of respect in here. But this is Saturday's Race of the Day, so don't forget to click for free Race of the Day access here on DRF. And it's top pick time. Curious to see who you go with here, Mike. It's probably one of the Bafferts is my guess. And we go with the same Baffert towards the inside.
Yeah, I'm actually more bullish on the Bafferts than you are. I got Baffert 1-2 in this race. I couldn't really talk myself into anybody else. I much prefer the 1, though. I think the distance could be the great equalizer. And listen, I know they cut her back last time. I thought she ran really well in there.
And I didn't have her on top last time out. I went with Royal Slipper, who finished 3rd. So maybe we've learned our lesson. I agree, though. I think the cutback was key. It was a nice spot to try to test her against stakes competition. And now stretching back out, she looks pretty tough in here. So 156 for me, 165 for Mike. That's the grade 2 Starlet this Saturday out at Los Al. Good luck.